Hey YouTube, this is Steve from Average Joe's Fantasy Football, and we've got your Week 17 start and sit video, Championship Week edition. Now, there may be some of you still playing in fantasy and your championship is next week, but for the majority of most people, this is the week for championships, just because there are a lot of opportunities where Week 18, some teams don't play any of their starters, so of course you don't want to play those risks. Now, hopefully you guys have checked out our waivers and you've got players that are hopefully going to help you guys out. Stay tuned. Obviously, there are games on Thursday. You got a game on Saturday. And then, of course, on Sunday, there is not a Monday night game. So you're going to get a lot of who the champ will be by the end of Sunday night. Now, we're talking quarterback position. So these are your obvious starts at quarterback. The only one I have an asterisk on is Brock Purdy just because of the injury. That one we have to keep an eye on, but he is expected to play, so we'll see how that looks, but I do like his matchup, so just something to keep an eye on. Now, the first quarterback I'm going to mention as a good start is going to be Kyler Murray versus the Eagles. Look, Philly has actually played a lot better against the pass, but of course, in the last two games, they actually have struggled, right? They allowed Tyrod Taylor and Drew Lock to have really good games. So take that with a grain of salt. Again, Philly has done a good job overall for the season, but the fact that they just allowed two quarterbacks who are backups to have 20-plus performances does give Murray some optimism, right? He's a quarterback that can run. He's played well recently. Murray just had a great game with over 20 points. So this is something that, again, there is an opportunity for that. Philly's allowing 2 touchdown passes in the air each game as well. They obviously need to tighten up because they do need to win out just to kind of get this NFC East, realistically championship. And then, of course, really trying to get that 1 seed with San Francisco losing as well. So there's a lot going on with these two games, but I do like Kyler Murray. Now, one thing you got to keep an eye on, he has been dealing with an injury. So just something to watch. And if he is going to be, I would say, deep into the week of injury, they may just rest him for the rest of the season because they really have nothing to play for. But I do like Kyler Murray this week. Another quarterback I like this week is going to be Matthew Stafford versus the Giants. Look, since week 11, Stafford has been amazing. He has not been throwing interceptions, right? He's been turnover pretty much free at this point, right? He's been tearing it up. He's averaging 22 points a game, 14 touchdowns in those games, and again, only 1 interception. So he's been playing out of his mind, playing really well. Puka Nacua looks great. Cooper Kupp will have a good game here or there. Like, Matthew Stafford just looks really good. And on top of that, Giants overall, for the season, they've been pretty good against the pass. But in the last game they just had, they struggled allowing 22 points in that game. Stafford is finding some success. Again, not creating turnovers. He's being smart. He's throwing to guys who are just making big plays. Like I said, Puka and Cooper have been outstanding for him this season. And I do expect this to be a game where I think the Giants will do their best to try to keep up. I think Tyrod Taylor is going to be the starter this week. So should be an interesting game. I do know that the Rams are going to unfortunately beat them. But as a Cowboy fan, I want the Giants to get destroyed as much as I can. Now, as far as a start, I know this sounds crazy, but I'm putting Patrick Mahomes as a start this week. Not because he's Patrick Mahomes, I get it. He's usually my obvious starts, but he hasn't played great, right? Like the last few weeks, he's been struggling. Going against the Bengals team, look, he has an opportunity to really do well. I think the Chiefs in general are going to go I think they're really going to focus and go really, really hard against the Bengals and just prove that they are a team that can be serious in the playoffs, can have some success this playoff season, and of course, have an opportunity to go to the Super Bowl. Do I think they do that? I'm not sure. I think there's some better teams out there, like the Ravens, I think have a better chance. I think the Dolphins could possibly get up there. But I will never, ever count on Patrick Mahomes. This is a great opportunity. He's averaged 17 points in the last 2 games. He's, again, I know that's good. Like, everyone feels really good if your quarterback's getting you 17 points. That's not Mahomes type number, so you expect more, especially where you drafted him. And you're going to probably put him in your lineup. But look, the Bengals just gave up Mason Rudolph of a 20-point performance. Like, this is a Bengals defense that is struggling. They are having some issues on their end. I do think Mahomes has a great game. I do think Travis Kelce turns it around. I know they have some issues at the running back position with injuries and things like that. So that is going to be a big issue. But I think Patrick Mahomes has a great game. I think he's going to put up at least 2 to 3 touchdowns and a 20-plus performance. Like, he's going to have that type of week. Now, the quarterback I'm going to mention sitting is going to be Tua Tagovailoa. Look, going against the Ravens, this is going to be a tough matchup. Like, the Ravens just made Brock Purdy, who was the current MVP lead, just looked like he was the 7th rounder that he was. Like, and Brock Purdy has not played bad at all. It was just a really bad game, creating those, allowing those 4 turnovers. Ravens defense does a really good job of keeping their eye on the quarterback and allowing opportunities like tip balls and things like that to come their way. So it's a really tough matchup. They do allow the opportunity to create some turnovers. Tua has struggled in the last 3 games, only averaging 12.5 points, even with 2 games that Tyreek was in. I know he missed 1 game, but Tyreek has played in those 2 of the last 3 games, and Tua is still struggling big time. He has not played really well. This Mike McDaniel's offense isn't great. They only barely put up 20 points against the Dallas Cowboys, who do have a good defense, so you got to give them credit there. But this Ravens defense is really good. They're turnover opportunistic. They lead in sacks. Like, they're going to get after Tua. Waddle is out. Like, this is going to be tough for him. Another quarterback I'm going to say, it's Joe Flacco versus the Jets. What a tough matchup for Flacco. Like, he has been playing out of his mind, averaging over 300 yards in the air. And again, just balling out. Now, most of you, depending on where your quarterback situation looks like, you're probably going to play Flacco. I hope he does well. But the Jets defense is a really good defense, right? Like Sauce Gardner, really good, right? The Williams brothers, really good. Mosley, like this is a team that can have a chance to really shut down this. And there's a good chance that Amari Cooper is not playing. So now the opportunities of a big playmaker down the field is limited, right? You've got Njoku who should do well, Jerome Ford and Hunt, Elijah Moore, maybe, right? Like, there's not going to be a lot for Flacco to throw down to. I do have some nervousness in this one. I have Flacco in one of my dynasties because you're at a point where dynasty you're kind of like, unless you still have the trade deadline going and you want to give up something. So again, Flacco, I'm sitting this week if you can. Now, the last quarterback I'm going to sit, Trevor Lawrence versus the Panthers, and a lot of this has to do with the fact that there is a big asterisk with Trevor Lawrence and what is going to happen with him. He's got obviously an injury on his right shoulder, his throwing arm. He's dealing with his ankle injury still. Like, he just had a concussion 2 weeks ago. Like, there's a lot going on. And Trevor Lawrence still somehow shows up. Like, he definitely is a very, very Iron Man type of player. But at a certain point, you got to let him rest. You're trying to make the playoffs. You're trying to have some confidence going into the playoffs. I think you should sit him. Now, if he does play, I'm still sitting him in my fantasy playoffs. Like, this is it. Look, Panthers have done a really good job. They're holding quarterbacks to 185 yards, 13.5 points a game. Like, this Panthers defense does a really good job against the pass. Now, some of it is the fact that they do allow some running, so the opportunities are there, right? Like, Travis Etienne should have a really good game. But if I have the opportunity to go after another quarterback and go into waivers, maybe, I don't know, maybe Geno Smith if he's still out there, maybe even a Tyrod Taylor, I am sitting Trevor Lawrence. Now, my sleeper of the week is going to be Bryce Young versus the Jags. I know that sounds crazy. Like, Bryce Young hasn't played great, but he just had one of his best games all season, putting up 19.8 points, 272 yards. Like, he looked really good. And there are a lot of injuries going on with the Jacksonville Jaguars. They are allowing the league worst in yards. They're allowing a lot of points. Last week, they just gave up 22 points, or just under that. And this is an opportunity where, again, Bryce has a chance to have a really good game. Like, get 2 touchdowns. Like, I like this as a nice opportunity. I'm most likely probably talking to folks in Dynasty that you have Bryce Young playing, especially in Superflex. But if you're in redraft and you want to have some fun, or if you've got a Superflex, I would consider putting Bryce Young in there. I think he's going to have a nice little game. I think he'll really surprise you this week. So those are my start sits and sleepers for week 17, the quarterback position. Again, smash that subscribe button. Make sure you guys hit that notification bell. Stay tuned to all of our other start and sit videos. Of course, hit us up in the comments down below if you have questions for your lineup. Make sure you guys do have that subscribe button because we will be doing a lot of Dynasty content. I've got a lot of great content coming from the Senior Bowl coming up as well, getting you guys ready for all those rookies. And again, make sure you hit the like button, and I'll check you guys out next time.